Return of the Jedi is a movie full of plots, trickery, deception, tricks, and traps. But what if I were to tell you there was one more plan, one more trick, a tiny bit more deception that the Imperials had up their sleeves? What if I were to tell you that the Emperor had one more plan, a plan that, if he had been able to fulfill, he would have killed not only Han Solo, not only Princess Leia, but also Chewbacca, R2-D2, C-3PO, and all of the adorable, delicious little teddy bears? That story right here, right now, on today's episode of Star Wars Nerds and Geeks. All this information is coming from a deleted scene of Return of the Jedi. However, since none of the information in this deleted scene conflicts with any information from canon sources, I can assume that this is true and that it is canon. Also, I'm going to try to find footage for this deleted scene, but if I can't, and you have Disney Plus, just go to Return of the Jedi, click on Extras, and scroll down to where it says Deleted Scene, Jerjerrod's Conflict, and you'll be able to find this deleted scene. These deleted scenes are all about Jerjerrod, and if they had made it into the movie, they would have made Jerjerrod a lot more of an interesting character. He would have been much more dynamic and have so many good parts and bad parts about him. It would have been really a three-dimensional character that would have been very interesting. Maybe someday I will talk about that more, but today we're focusing on the Empire's plan. And it has to do with Jerjerrod because Jerjerrod was the one that was going to commence it. So this plan was actually really quite simple and makes a lot of sense, especially when you're thinking about the Empire. The Emperor, Palpatine, he's a very smart man. He believes that there's no chance that the rebels could have destroyed the shield generator, but he's also not foolish enough to think that there is absolutely no chance in the world that the rebels will be able to pull it off, because he knows that even against overwhelming odds, the rebels still have a chance to do something miraculous. So, the Emperor put in a contingency plan. He told Jerjerrod, okay, Jerjerrod, listen to me. If the rebels destroy the shield generator, I want you to blow up Endor. Simple as that. The second the shield generator was destroyed, Endor, kablooey. And with it comes C-3PO, R2-D2, Han Solo. You get the message. Everybody on Endor, kablooey. So what ends up happening in this deleted scene is the rebels destroy the shield generator, and Jerjerrod gets word of it, so he immediately orders the Death Star to turn towards Endor. And the scene is constantly going .03 to Endor,
.03 to moon target,
.02 to Endor, .01 to Endor. Endor is within range to make the scenes more dramatic, and I'd assume, I couldn't see this because it was just the deleted scene, it wasn't actually put into the movie, but I'd assume that it'd constantly be cutting between the rebels fighting on Endor, the Lando Calrissian flying in to destroy the Death Star, and the people on the Death Star counting down how close they are to blowing up Endor. So then they finally get into range of blowing up Endor, and the officer says, alright, we're in range, you ready to hit? And Jerjerrod just sits there, and the officer goes, Jerjerrod, come on, you have to give us the order to fire. And Jerjerrod hesitates, and he says, okay, fire at will. And then I'd assume that's where the scene ends. I'd assume at that moment, the Death Star blows up. So, if this had made it into the movie, right before Jerjerrod gives the order to blow up Endor, the Death Star blows up, and thus the rebels on Endor are saved. It adds a tiny bit more dramatic to this movie, adds a little bit more tension. I personally think that this would have been a great addition to Episode 6. I kind of understand why it was taken out, because it's just really similar to Episode 4 in a way, with the Battle of Yavin. But on the other hand, I think that it would have been a great addition. What I also wanted to talk about, why was the Empire not able to blow up Endor? They should have been able to, but for some reason they weren't. So I was looking through this, and I was trying to think about why the Empire wasn't able to blow up Endor, and it all came down to this. The Death Star was not in position to fire when it should have been. For whatever reason, the Death Star was facing away from Endor when it was time to fire. When the shield generator went down, the Death Star was facing away from Endor, which was a very big mistake because the Death Star, it takes a while to turn around, so you're just giving them more opportunity to blow up the Death Star. What they should have done was have the Death Star turn to face Endor so that they could blow it up immediately once the shield generator went down. If that had happened, then everyone on Endor, kablooey, they would have been gone. Everyone on the Death Star, kablooey, they would have been gone. Both the Death Star and Endor would have both kablooey been gone. So why didn't the Empire do this? I'm not positive. Number one is definitely to add more tension to the scene from a movie standpoint. Number two is because the Empire is stupid and cocky. But number three, I think there is actually a somewhat logical reason for this. The Death Star we see in the Battle of Endor is actually being used to take out capital ships of the rebels. One of its main purposes is shooting down the big Mon Cala cruisers to make it easier for the Star Destroyers. So it wouldn't make sense for the Death Star to be turned away from the battle just in case the shield generator went down, and there was a very low chance that the shield generator would have gone down. So that's just taking away your biggest asset from the battle on a whim. The other thing is that if you turned the Death Star to face towards Endor, the rebels would have realized what you were trying to do. They realized, oh shoot, they're going to blow up Endor. And then they would have alerted the people on the ground, and then the people on the ground would have evacuated Endor, and the entire thing would have been for nothing. So I think those are the two reasons why the Death Star wasn't faced towards Endor, and that's the two reasons why in the end Endor wasn't able to be blown up. But tell me what you think about this in the comments. Do you think that this was a wise move? Do you think that the Empire should have done something differently? And also, do you think that this scene should have made it into the movie, or do you think that it's best left out of the movie? Again, all that in the comments. And if you're still watching to this point, thank you very much. And here's a little bit of secret information for you. Next week, if I can, there will be a video coming out that is incorporating this scene into the actual movie of episode 6 so that you can visualize what it would have looked like, and would have added a lot more tension to the movie. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching to this point. And this is Star Wars Nerds and Geeks signing off. See you all next time.